Welcome back to Introduction to iOS Application Development at SSFS. So in this last video, we're going to implement the save feature. And really, when I save a new journal entry, I want to append that entry to the array of journal entries as part of my journal object. So we need to create a new journal entry and then add it to journal. So let's go ahead and add a save button to this. So I'm going to use a new bar button. I'm going to drag it to this side. And under System Item, we're going to choose Save. And again, that doesn't do anything until I implement the functionality. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use the Control key, create a new action. The type will be bar button item. And I'll call it Save. Okay, so there's the action for that. In order to implement this functionality, I need access to the contents of this text field. So let me go ahead and create a property or an outlet so I can access that text view. So I'll call it journal entry contents and hit connect. And now I should be able to access that. And then since I want to be able to add this journal entry to my existing journal, not a new journal, I'll need a property for that. So I'll use journal of type journal, not journal entry, journal. There we go. And then what I'll do in my table view controller is I'll find some way to pass the information, the journal, to this so I can append a new journal entry to it. But let's go ahead and implement that save item first, and we'll take care of that in a minute. So I say let the entry, okay, which is going to be a new entry, equal journal entry, and the date will be NS date, and the contents are going to be journal entry contents dot text. Whatever is in that journal entry field will be the contents of my journal entry. And then the journal property that I've created, we're going to add an entry. Remember we created that add entry method earlier. And we're going to add the entry we just created here. Once we've saved it, we would think we will be done with this view controller. So we'll go ahead and dismiss it again to go back to our list of entries. So I'll do dismiss view controller animated, true, and the completion will be nil again. Okay, so that's the save functionality. I'll create a new entry using the current date and the contents of the text field. I'll add that entry to my journal, and then I'll dismiss my view controller back to my list. So the only thing I need to do is find some way to pass this journal information to this new journal entry view controller. So I need to be able to do that from my table view controller. So let's go back to my main storyboard. We need to do a couple things here. I need to go back to this. I want to be able to have as much real estate as possible. So notice that this segue has an identifier of journal entry. In order to differentiate, I need to give this one a segue identifier as well. So I'm going to just call it new journal entry. And let's go back to my table view controller. Let's go to the top and say I'm going to let new journal entry segue identifier equals new journal entry. So now I've just created a constant for that. And I'm going to go down to my prepare for segue function. I remember I have it if all of this, okay, if the identifier was just a journal entry, I wanted to read a journal entry. I made my destination view controller a journal entry view controller. So I need to do the same kind of thing for if it's if I click the compose button. So I can say else if the segue identifier is equal, whoops, too many equal signs, equals new journal entry segue identifier. Okay. So if basically I tap the compose button, I can do optional binding if let new journal entry view controller. Okay, that's going to be the variable equals the segue destination view controller as new journal entry view controller. Okay. So basically, doing optional binding, I'm letting the destination view controller be the new journal entry view controller. Now I can pass the information. Okay, new journal entry view controller dot journal, again, which was the property I created here. So this journal property. Let that equal, whoops, yeah, dot journal equals journal. So if the identifier is the journal entry segue identifier, that means if I've tapped on just a row in the table, then show me the journal entry view controller. If, however, the identifier is new journal entry segue identifier, show me new journal entry view controller and pass the journal object to that view controller. Okay? So now it should be able to assign it from here. In order to make that easier to see, instead of making 1,000 entries, let's just bring that down to about 3. Should be a little bit easier. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. And we should be able to see that I've got 3 entries this time. I can compose. Let's, today was really great. Now if I hit save, I still only see 3. So something's not working right. Well, the reason is because the data in the table is not being reloaded. So I need to find some way to say to the table, refresh yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to override the view will load function, or view will appear. And I'm going to make it, let me do super view will appear. And all I wanted to do is have the table view reload the data. And that should be it. So when the view is about to appear, reload the table view data. Let's see if that does it. Okay, I've got my 3 entries here. I'll compose a new one. Today was a great day. Let's save it. And it still didn't work. So we have to figure out why this wasn't working, and I think the reason is because I have my brackets in the wrong place. I need to end this here, and then I can take out this bracket here. So this if is ending here, and then I have an else if. So let me go ahead and run this to see if that works. Let's compose, and let's today, let's see, let's hope that worked. If I hit save, now I have my 4th entry, and if I click on this one, it's entry 0, but if I click on this one, it's actually the entry that I just typed. So it looks like my journal is working, but if you play around with this, you'll notice that the data is not saved. So one of the challenges I leave for you to solve on your own is how would you go ahead and implement a way to save these journal entries so that you could go back and see them time and time again. That's it for this project, and next time we'll take a look at another iOS application.